With
just
that
to clarify,
clarity, Xi Jinping would have to be foolish to invade Taiwan to sit on the semiconductor supply chain.
Just as
That's
a final,
how we advance principles that put our country first.
A final point of clarity on this. Once the United States achieves semiconductor independence, do you believe it will be in the United States' national interest to deter China from invading Taiwan?
We will evaluate at that point in time. It will not be preferable for China to invade Taiwan even then.
That's not an answer to my
question. We will then adopt what is our current...
But you are not answering...
Because that's in the future, Abby.
You're not answering my question. Will it be in the United States' national
I think you don't understand.
To deter
Abby,
China
do you actually know what strategic ambiguity means?
I'm just asking you a simple question.
Do you understand
the
current posture? The current posture is strategic
Mr.
ambiguity
Ramaswamy,
right
it's
now.
A yes
and
or no,
I have a feeling you don't understand what that is.
It's a yes or no answer.
So I'm happy to educate you if you're interested. Strategic ambiguity will be what we resume. It's the current status quo, and that's what we will resume after we've achieved semiconductor independence. It's that simple. The status quo will be exactly what it obtains after we've achieved semiconductor independence. And in the meantime, we have to be clear, something that no party says, that we will defend Taiwan.
A simple answer to that question would actually be a yes or no. But I do want to turn now to a different topic, to politics. Here is what your fellow Republican...
Geopolitics is a little more complicated than you're making it out to be, Abby. So I'm happy to explain it to you if you're interested.
Here's what your fellow Republican, Nikki Haley, said about you earlier today. Just listen.
All right, guys. So with Trump up in the polls and him expanding his lead every single day, the mainstream liberal media is getting desperate. They're getting extremely desperate. And you know they're getting desperate because they're now comparing Trump to Hitler, right? They're just coming out and saying Trump is Hitler because they really don't have anything else. And the reason why they're calling him Hitler is because Trump used the word vermin in a speech when talking about the radical leftists in this country. And again, all of a sudden, the mainstream liberal media adopts all of the same talking points from the Biden administration because they are a propaganda arm of the Biden administration in regards to comparing Trump to Hitler. Take a look.
Of course, it's Trump is a Nazi time again.
Let's deal with Hitler, okay?
I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that. I mean, that is Mussolini, Hitler-like language.
Trump's affinity for Hitler was always covered under an umbrella of his stupidity.
Echoing Hitler's words.
Listen to this. Well, Hitler was duly elected.
That's right. Echoing the hateful rhetoric of Adolf Hitler.
That echoes Hitler.
That's the kind of language Hitler used in Mein Kampf.
About vermin and Hitler and Mussolini.
That's a horrifying clip. That's a fascist clip.
Just going full on Hitler.
It's from Hitler's Germany.
We just need to say, for the record, that the term vermin was really effectively used by Adolf Hitler.
Echo dictators like Hitler.
With language evoking authoritarian figures like Adolf Hitler.
Donald Trump parroted the autocratic language of Adolf Hitler.
Talk about the brilliance of Hitler's generals.
Correct.
General Kelly, yes.
Correct.
That Trump is now a dangerous hybrid clone of Mussolini and Hitler.
I will get to the Hitler.
Basically saying that language is straight out of Adolf Hitler. And
the ignorant person, when warned that Hitler used to call Jews vermin, would stop.
Using the language of Hitler and Mussolini, and there was a lot of coverage of that, Britt. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Trump's turning up the volume.
No.
Well, I don't see Hitler and Mussolini.
That Trump enjoyed the idea of being compared to Adolf Hitler.
Very similar to how Hitler established full power.
Headline: Trump calls political enemies vermin, echoing dictators Hitler and Mussolini.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? All of the mainstream liberal media is literally echoing Biden-approved talking points, okay? This is straight from the White House. The White House says, go out there and call Trump Hitler. And all these mainstream liberal outlets, they all do it at the same time. Again, it's amazing how that works, right? They're all basically NPCs that are controlled by the Biden administration, right? They can't make it any more obvious than they do when they all come out here and say the same thing, right? They're all pearl clutching, right, over mean words that Trump said, okay? And again, the pearl clutching has extended to asking political candidates about Trump's words, even though it doesn't really have anything to do with policy. And that is what happened between Abby Phillip and Vivek Ramaswamy on CNN, in which Vivek Ramaswamy was having no patience whatsoever for the clear Trump derangement syndrome coming from Abby Phillips. And he, quite honestly, destroyed her, right? When she decided to ask him about Trump's comments. Take a look.
That language, they live like vermin. Do you believe that that is, as your Republican colleague Chris Christie has said, neo-Nazi rhetoric?
This is a classic mainstream media move. Pick some individual phrase of Donald Trump, focus on literally that word without actually interrogating the substance of what's at issue.
The word was chosen for a reason.
We are in the middle of a cultural war in this country.
The word was chosen for a reason.
It's actually describing a series of behaviors. You have Antifa and other related groups that have been burning down cities for the last 3 years in this country.
Would you describe them as vermin?
Wildly violating the rule of law. We have an invasion on our southern border. We have millions of people crossing our southern border. Let's talk about the substance of why we have to recognize that we're not in ordinary times.
Would you use that language yourself?
The vocabulary of the vermin or not is not what's important. Well, I haven't used that language. So you can look at my track record on the campaign trail. I talk about the issues. We all talk about them differently. But what I'm not going to do is play some game of focusing on some word that somebody else said without ignoring entirely the substance of what we're actually talking about. A border crisis of historic proportion. Economic stagnation we haven't seen in 50 years, a national identity crisis and a loss of national pride in the next generation that's potentially existential for this country. Let's talk about our dependence on China. Today we're actually talking about Xi Jinping, picking on Donald Trump's word vermin to talk about that status quo. You know what's vermin? What's running around San Francisco on a given day before Gavin Newsom cleaned it up on a dime to roll out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. If he could do that for Xi Jinping, he could have done it on an ordinary day, and yet we're here sitting talking not about the substance of that, but on one word that Donald Trump said in some speech in Miami. This is what's wrong with the mainstream media. Focus on the substance and let's have an actual policy debate rather than talking to a presidential candidate instead of the policy substance of what's actually going on in the country, picking on some word that Donald Trump said on a certain day and asking me for comment on it. Give me a break.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wow. Wow. Again, Vivek does not give an F anymore, right? He gives no Fs, and I love it, right? He shouldn't, okay? Because these people, like he said, they never want to talk about the substance of policy. And this is a criticism that I've been levying for a while now, okay, recently. Anytime these people talk to GOP presidential candidates, right, they don't actually want to talk about policy. They don't care, right? They'll do a little bit, right? They'll do a little bit of policy talk, okay, just to throw it in there. But a vast majority of the conversation has nothing to do with policy or the substance of the real issues in this country, right? What they want to focus on is words that Trump says, right? They pick out one word. Oh my God, he used the word vermin. He must be Hitler. We told you he was a fascist dictator, right? This is what they do. Okay, they hyperventilate and they melt down over a word, right? They just focus on one word Trump said. And in the context of what he said that radical leftists live like vermin, right? Which, I mean, hey, you know, if you look at San Francisco, I'm just saying that probably is not too inaccurate when you look at how you have some of the people on the streets of that city actually living in this country, right? Which is a shame, right? It really is. So again, you know, it's just so fascinating how they do this. Everything that Trump said, like when Trump basically gave a hypothetical about how the Biden administration is opening up the door for political weaponization of the government to go after political enemies in this country. They literally twisted that to try to make it seem like Trump was saying that I'm for sure going to go after my political opponents. I'm going to lock them up and arrest them. That's what I'm going to do for sure. No, that's not what Trump said, right? Trump said, well, Biden has set the precedent that if I was elected, then I could do the same thing. That is what he said, right? But again, that's not how they ever report it, right? They never report it accurately, and then they cry these fake tears. They have these fake meltdowns over small things, right? Silly things, okay? And what's even more silly is the continued meltdown from the mainstream liberal media when it comes to Vivek and his criticisms of Nikki Haley, Ronald McDaniels, and Christian Welker at the GOP debate, in which, of course, Abby Phillip asked another question that has nothing to do with substance, right, at all, in regards to what happened during that moment in the debate, but more about peddling Nikki Haley's talking points, okay, and her narrative that Vivek is somehow a sexist because he dares question or critique women.
Here's what your fellow Republican Nikki Haley said about you earlier today. Just listen.
What happens? He comes out of the gate. He hits the female chair of the party. He hits the female anchor on the platform, and then he hits me. And I'm not saying anything.
I ain't saying, I'm just saying.
But he might have a girl problem. I'm just saying he might have a girl problem.
Okay, so she's laying out 3 different women that you've attacked. Why is she wrong?
Well, she also left off that list Dick Cheney, Lindsey Graham, Karl Rove, John Bolton. The real issue is there's an old neocon wing of the Republican Party that I've been crystal clear critical of. And what makes me crack up about Nikki Haley is that she claims to eschew identity politics, yet embraces it when it's convenient. So yes, Ronna McDaniel, if she's lost the last 4 elections after she took over as chairwoman of the RNC in 2017, and she lost in 2018 and 2020 and 2022 and 2023, I don't care if she's a man or woman. She deserves to be held accountable.
Yeah, but why don't you?
If Nikki
why
Haley
don't you
came
blame,
out of the UN
but why
in
don't
debt,
you blame President Trump
well,
for that?
Excuse
He
me.
appointed.
I'm in the middle of answering your question.
He appointed Ronna McDaniel to that post.
These
he's
elections,
also,
these
I think you would agree.
These
the
elections
leader,
span
the
when
leader.
Trump
He's also the leader of the Republican Party. When he was president, he claims to be the leader of the Republican
I'm
Party.
running to be the leader of the nation and the leader of the Republican Party. My question is this, and Abby, I've been on your show and others. I preach to the left crystal clear. I stand for meritocracy, the best person for the job. That's why I'm against affirmative action. Well, I can't preach that with good clarity if we're not practicing what we preach in the Republican Party itself. So is Ronna McDaniel the best qualified person to be leading the Republican Party on that record when her salary has tripled in the meantime? No, she's not. And I'm not going to apologize for that. And I think it is a shame when those who claim to distance themselves from identity politics wear identity politics when it's convenient for them. So Kamala Harris probably isn't running for president. If you want to run in the party of identity politics, there might be a slot available there. But here we're based in meritocracy, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Man or woman, skin color, it doesn't matter. Speak the truth, and we have to be willing to hold failure accountable. That's Kristen Welker and her lies that she's told about the Trump-Russia collusion.
Mr. Ramaswamy, I'm going to stop you right there because
so I stand by it.
There's no reason to bring Kristen Welker into your dispute with Ronna McDaniel. But I want you to listen to what Donald Trump said.
I
want you to listen to.
You literally paid tape of Nikki Haley talking about Kristen Welker, so I'm responding to the tape that you just played for your viewers.
The question that you
so
were
give me a break and
answering
stop
was
misleading
about
your viewers.
Mr. Ramaswamy, the question you were
The
answering.
question I was answering was your
about,
allegation that somehow that
are you
there's
going to
a
let me
girl
finish
issue
my question,
when
or are
she's
you
talking
just
about my statements about Kristen Welker.
Are you going to let me finish my question, or are you just going to continue talking? I was asking you why you would blame Ronna McDaniel, who was
going back on the
appointed
viewer
to her
tape you just played.
position. She was appointed to her position by Donald Trump, the president at the time.
She
a lot of those losses that you blame her for, a lot of the losses
by the chairpersons of the RNC.
A lot of the losses you blame her for happened under his watch, and you won't blame him for that. But putting that aside, Mr. Ramaswamy, just write
2020,
one final
2022,
thing.
and 2023.
One final thing.
So that spans
that I want to
multiple
ask
different
you about
administrations.
before
I believe
I
in facts.
A final.
Woo, boy. Again, Vivek is not playing with the media, right? He's not playing any games with the media. I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, because, again, once again, we have a situation where instead of talking about the substance of Vivek's criticisms of Ronna McDaniel, Nikki Haley, or Kirsten Welker, the way she frames this question is about sexism. Well, are you a sexist? Right? Prove that you're not a sexist, right? Why is she wrong about you not being a sexist? You attacked 3 women, right? When, again, if she was a real journalist, she should reject the premise that the man is a sexist simply for criticizing women. But again, that's how low of a bar we have in the media in regards to journalism. Okay, these people quite literally really believe that it is worth questioning a presidential candidate in regards to whether or not he is sexist because he attacked 3 women. He criticized 3 women. Now, again, they're never going to talk about the actual criticisms, right? They're never going to talk about the fact that Nikki Haley is a warmonger, okay? They're also never going to press her in an interview or her warmongering foreign policy stances, right? They're never going to do that, okay? They're never going to question Kirsten Welker in regards to her pushing the Trump-Russia collusion hoax, right? They're not going to go after Ronna McDaniels for losing because, hey, they like it when the Republicans lose, right? So again, Vivek calling out the media, calling out Nikki Haley, calling out Ron McDaniel. They don't like that for various reasons. It goes against their interest, right? So again, what they do, instead of engaging in the actual substantive policy debate, no, let's just smear it as sexist, right? Let's ask another question that has nothing to do with policy, that has nothing to do with the real issues. Let's just say he's a sexist, right? Let's say he hates women because, hey, he criticizes women. Which again, it's fascinating stuff. Because these are the same people that will tell you how strong women are. Women are so strong. Women can do anything that a man can do, right? But when a woman gets the criticism of a man, right? All of a sudden, nah, you can't do that, right? She's not a strong woman anymore. She's a victim, okay? And that's what they're doing. Okay, all these women, right, that Vivek is criticizing are supposed to be strong women. All of a sudden, they're not strong anymore. They're weak, right? And they're feeble, and they're victims because they got a little bit of criticism. And the hilarious part about this is the fact that Abby Phillip has a meltdown over Vivek bringing up Kirsten Welker when the whole question was about Kirsten Welker, right? The premise of her question was that, well, you've attacked 3 women, including Kirsten Welker. Are you a sexist, right? That's basically what the question was. Okay, so when Vivek says, yeah, this is why I criticize Kirsten Welker, Abby Phillip, again, goes into panic mode and basically says, well, you shouldn't bring her up. You shouldn't be bringing up my colleague, right? Don't bring up my colleague. Don't criticize her. Don't call out the fact that she lied to the American people, right, about Russia. When it's like, well, you asked me about her, right? That was the premise of the question. Why did you attack these 3 women? Again, it's amazing how that works. Again, this is the same person that feels the need to say, well, you should attack Trump. Attack Trump for Ronald McDaniel's job performance. He appointed her. Well, he did appoint her, but again, her job performance has not been good throughout multiple administrations, not just under Trump. And also, she has been reelected. Okay, so again, it's not like Trump has said that, you know what, she's going to be the RNC chair and, you can't, remove her, right? No, she has been reelected. She had to continue to get reelected to stay in that position. However, her job performance has been so bad that it's time for her to step down. Okay, and criticizing her and her job performance has everything to do with her, right? It doesn't have anything to do with anybody else. It has everything to do with her. Okay, now, again, the reason why she got appointed by Trump is because she did a good job in 2016. Right? Specifically in Michigan. However, as the national chair, she hasn't done a good job. So again, that's beyond Trump at this point, right? Again, it's on her. But again, this is what happens. When you try to hold women accountable, blame the man, right? Blame the man. And anytime you try to hold a woman accountable, no, it's not the woman's fault, it's the man's fault, right? If you criticize a woman, oh, you're sexist, okay? Instead of actually having a conversation about the criticisms and the substantive issues, no, it's always smearing somebody as some type of bigot, or it's the man's fault. It's never the woman's fault. Again, you can't criticize women without being some type of bigot in this country. It's amazing, okay? And it happens on both sides of the aisle. That's the funny part about it. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.